This is the Making the Tough Call podcast. I'm Katherine Crace. I'm a social worker, lawyer, and longtime mandated reporter trainer. Please note that while I'm an attorney licensed to practice law in New York State since 2001, I'm not your attorney. Nothing that I say in my recordings should be considered legal advice. Today, we're going to talk about how you should talk to your client about your role as a mandated reporter. Professionals are often aware that they're mandated reporters of suspected child maltreatment, but they've rarely been supported in how to explain this role to their clients. What does it actually mean? Mandated reporters of suspected child maltreatment are required by law to report certain concerns about a child's treatment to Child Protective Services, otherwise known as CPS. Who is a mandated reporter, and when a mandated reporter is actually required to call CPS are important considerations that are covered in other podcasts and blog posts at my website. Even when a professional is comfortable with the expectations of them under the law, they are often uncomfortable with explaining to their client their role as a mandated reporter. It's imperative that clients are aided in understanding how working with a mandated reporter impacts their rights and the services they will receive, regardless of their age or other circumstances. When mandated reporters have an otherwise confidential relationship with a client, like when they are a mental or physical health professional, their mandated reporting role can complicate things. Many professional reporters in these roles are concerned that if they make it clear to the client that they'll have to make a report to CPS in certain circumstances, then the client won't share important information with the professional. That's true, and likely it's also the client's right to make a decision about who they tell what. Every client has the right to know how sharing information with a professional will be used. While we want clients to share with us as much information as they can so that we can provide them with the best service that we can, the reality is that the client has the right to determine what information they share. Some clients are comfortable easily sharing personal information with professionals. Other clients are more protective of their own privacy. When sharing information with a professional would trigger a legal requirement for that professional to contact a government entity like CPS, the client should be aware of the possibility of that reality. And if the client does not share that information with the professional because they don't want to trigger the legal responsibility of the professional to make a report to CPS, that's their right as well. In situations where clients do not share information with professionals because they do not want the professional to make a report to CPS, it is possible that the client will miss out on an opportunity to get helpful interventions from that professional. This is an unfortunate but very real limitation of mandated reporting laws. For this reason, there are multiple groups across the country aiming to adjust, amend, or even eliminate mandated reporting laws. They argue, and research supports them on this, that fewer families are getting the help they need because people don't share concerns with mandated reporters. While mandated reporting policies were designed to help identify children in need of protective intervention, the reality is that millions of families are reported to Child Protective Services when they shouldn't be. As a result, families and children don't feel protected. Instead, they feel victimized. Professionals should do everything we can to protect children and families from unnecessary CPS intervention. And this means professionals should aim to ensure that clients feel comfortable sharing information with them, knowing whether we will be required to make a report to CPS or not. I've developed some options for language that professionals can use to help their clients understand the limitations of client confidentiality. I have examples of what professionals can include in their informed consent documentation or practice agreement on my website. I also have written information beyond a contract where you can actually talk to your client about these obligations and questions you can ask them to ensure their level of understanding. And I have differences in the language that you can use when talking to a client who might be an adult with average or above average cognitive recognition skills, or when you're talking to kids or adults who have limited cognitive skills. You probably have a lot of questions about being a mandated reporter, and the clients you work with have questions about it as well. So it's important that everybody gets all on the same page. It's also important to remember that clients aren't always constantly thinking about their confidentiality and its limits. Therefore, it's important to provide regular reminders on the limitations to confidentiality that come about from you being a mandated reporter. And you should definitely provide these reminders with clients who you feel are about to share information that would trigger your mandated reporting obligation. We all want to do what's best for our clients, and we want to help, and we want to make sure that our clients feel safe, not less safe or vulnerable because we've subjected them to interventions that they didn't want to be engaged with. So to avoid unnecessary reports to CPS, mandated reporters should understand their role and work to support families, not report families whenever possible. You can learn more about the efforts to promote mandated supporters instead of mandated reporters at the JMAC for Families website, which you can find linked through my website as well. To learn more, check out our blog posts at Making the Tough Call, The Best Intentions. And if you're concerned about what might happen to you if you don't make a report to CPS, check out my blog on what happens if a mandated reporter fails to report. You can find all of these resources at www.makingthetoughcall.info.